One of the most common questions I get asked by viewers of my Hell Let Loose videos is, bro, what are your settings? Your game looks so good. Usually I just copy and paste my graphic settings to them, but since I keep getting asked this question, instead of doing my usual, I've made this video to quickly explain all my in-game settings, and I'll go through why I have them set the way I do. As regular viewers of my channel will tell, I prefer a clean, minimalist heads-up display or HUD, and that means I do not have markers or nameplates showing all the time. I personally prefer this look because I'm all about that sweet, sweet immersion. I want to feel like I'm really kicking Jerry's ass on a European battlefield and not playing a video game. If you like this look and want to try it out, feel free to copy my settings, but if you're new to the game, I would recommend maybe playing with markers and nameplates turned on to the max, because that will help you get to grips with the game. You'll have an easy time learning how it all works and hopefully save you from accidentally shooting some friendlies. When I first started the game, I had markers and nameplates on, and it wasn't until I really got the hang of the mechanics, the meta, or simply understanding where the hell I was supposed to be, that I decided to turn those down and really amp up that immersive, realistic feel, which I prefer. So let's get straight into it. The first option when you open up the settings is the gameplay tab, and then you've got your clan tag. I've just got YT for YouTube. So yeah, it just looks like YT next to you. This guy's got dodge. It's just to indicate what kind of clan you're in. YT, for those who don't know, just YouTube. I'm just sort of indicating them a little sad YouTuber. The next one is Field of View, FOV. I've got mine set to 90 because that's what I'm comfortable with. But if you set it all the way down to 60, it zooms in the screen and you can see the difference. If I get out, what that looks like. There's my boy going. And if I set it to 90, you can see the difference. And if I go back and set it to 120, see what that looks like. Yeah, see the difference here, zooming in as well. Taking fire. So I personally play with 90, that's what I find comfortable, but it's a preference, personal preference. Whatever you think is juicy good for you. I've got manual bolt cycling off, hide FPP, sorry, bullets. That is just so you see there's no tracers with the rounds I'm firing. And if I turn that on, you'll know. Now, when I fire, there are tracers that only I can see. But it just kind of helps show you where your bullets are landing. Hopefully that's self-explanatory. Put that back to yes. Dead bodies spawn delay. I've got that down to the lowest one, 0.5. If you have loads of dead bodies lying around, it will affect your performance. So yeah, while it's cool to look at, I did turn that down to the lowest one to enable the best possible performance. I have gore enabled. I don't want I like to see the gore when people get blown to smithereens. HUD display on default. HUD display duration 30 seconds. Again, I have minimal HUD settings, so when I need to bring up the HUD, I press the T key on my keyboard and that brings that up. But if I were to just have the HUD, it would be open or displaying for 30 seconds. I've got all hints turned off because I'm no longer a new player. I know how the game works, so I don't need hints, but if you're new, keep those hints on. They'll give you tips and stuff. I've got hide, vote, kick requests because I don't want the things popping up in terms of the chat. Same with chat for new messages. You can set that to on, where if a new message is typed in, it will pop up for you. I have that turned off. If I need to look at chat, I can. I've got the key binding set, so I can open that up when I need to get information. Otherwise, I have that off. Profanity filter off. I don't mind people swearing. Map icon scale, so currently set to 100%. If you look on the map, this is what the icon size is for me on my scale. If I go to edit that, like say back to 200%, you can see the icons suddenly are massive. Again, whatever you're comfortable with, whatever makes it easier for you to spot things. Personally, I like the options at 100%. Next one we have is the map icon pulse. So if that's off, well, I'll turn it on just so you see the difference, but your icon here will pulse like that, and it'll do it again in a second. There you go. So you can just easily spot yourself on the map. If you turn that off, it only pulses the one time you open it. So off, if you go to the map, it will only pulse when we open, and then nothing after that. See? That's that. So now down to markers. Now, as you can see, hide markers with HUD. So I've got that connected to yes. So when a marker is placed, if I press T, it shows what markers are on the field. Gives me the next objective. Something like the observe thing that my squad leaders put down. It shows the previous objectives and the nearest one to me, and it shows also at the top there like what sector I'm in and whether what its status is and what time we're on. Press T and that goes away. So I play like this most of the times, but if I need the information to be brought up, I just press T, and you can see it pops up, and I can see what the hell's going on. So as I said, marker display duration is at 15 seconds. Ping displays at 5 seconds. So basically, when I ping with my middle, see there, someone's pinged. That will stay up for 5 seconds before fading. As you can see there, it's pinged again. Now we move on to the nameplate. So I've got that all set to 0, 0, 0. If I were to turn that up to 500 meters, you'll see the difference in how it looks. So now you can see all of these friendly markers. I can see my green squad mates, blue fellow teammates, and then you can see that I personally don't like this. I don't like looking at. Okay, before I was rudely interrupted, what I wanted to say was that I don't like looking at the markers and nameplates on my screen. I prefer it to look clean without that, just for the sense of immersion. But for those of you new players who are playing with markers on, they're pretty handy because they can indicate where your friendly troops are, so you don't end up accidentally shooting them. And as you can see, the closer you are to your friendly troops, the larger the icons, the nameplates will appear. So my squad leader is off in the distance there. There's another friendly I can barely see on the screen there, popping up. But that's just useful for new players. I prefer to play without nameplates. But that's just a quick explainer as to nameplates. If you go to the settings and we go to nameplate opacity, change that down to 50%, you'll see the opacity changes again, and I can change that further down to 12%, and you can see then it just barely shows up. So that's what that does. In the controls tab, the first 4 options you have toggle various different things. So you have the lean toggle, the ADS or aim down the sight toggle, the sprint toggle, and the steady aim toggle. These effectively allow you to choose the option or whether you want to hold down a particular key for the action to happen, or whether it will just be locked onto that after you've pressed it and you have to unlock it by clicking against it. For example, lean toggle. If I currently have this off, so in order to use the lean, I have to hold down each key, and if I let go, it releases it back to its neutral position. So leaning left, leaning right, I have to click and hold the key down. Whereas if I turn the toggle on for lean, if I press the lean to the left, which is my Q key, it will hold that. I'm no longer holding Q and it's still leaning left. If I click lean right by pressing the E key, then I'm stuck leaning right, and in order to undo that, I have to unclick it, click it again. So click it again to untoggle. Personally, I prefer to have that off because I just want to lean when I'm holding the key down, and vice versa. So I have that off. Same with ADS, I have that off. If I want to aim down the sight, I want to hold my right mouse key and move and aim. Move my if I hold on ADS, it holds it down and it maintains the aim down the sight. If I let go, it releases it. That's how I prefer it. It's all personal preference, these things. Up in the control section, we've got mouse sensitivity, free look sensitivity, mouse sensitivity when ADSing. These I've got set to 4%. Again, it's personal preference, what you are comfortable with, what you feel is snappy and reactive enough to your personal preference. This is just what I run. You don't have to do it the way I do it. It's just a personal preference when it comes to mouse sensitivity. Invert first person mouse I have off. Invert vehicle mouse I have off. Smooth mouse I have off. Crouch toggle I have on. So crouch will be maintained when I click that key. I don't have to keep holding crouch. So for example, I press crouch and it's maintaining it. I don't have to continue to hold crouch to stay in this position. I just click it again and it unlocks it. If I change that to crouch toggle off, I have to hold it to maintain it. See, if I let go, it will get me standing up again. I have to hold it. This is a bit of faff from my opinion, so I just have that off, or on rather. There you go. Now I don't use controllers, I only use a keyboard, so these controller settings I don't touch. Now we'll move on to the video settings. Okay, next up we're looking at the all-important video settings, which is the main reason why most of you probably actually clicked on this video. So my master quality is set to custom because I've got some separate different settings. You can switch and pick sort of all low, all medium, all high, or all epic settings, which will affect obviously how things look on screen. So let's just start with what I kind of go with for my settings. Now, the main thing that's going to affect what you can reasonably run is, of course, your rig, your computer. If you have a more powerful computer, you're going to be able to push the graphics to a high level and still not sacrifice too much performance, which is a key thing. My thing is to have a good looking game but not overly reliant on sort of fancy graphics, because I don't want to lose too much on performance. A kind of reasonable frame rate that I'm looking at is around 70 to 80 FPS. Anything around there I'm quite comfortable with, and it's smooth enough for me to not to get jarred by sort of frame rate drops. So what do I usually run? Full screen resolution or full screen mode for me. My resolution, you can see there, and my resolution scale is 100%. If you take your resolution scale down a touch, you can improve your FPS, but the game won't look as good. I'll give you an example. So apply those settings at 75%, and you can see the game now is a bit more pixelated, but my FPS is a bit better. If I turn that down even more, you'll see that it gets affected at a greater rate. Let's push that down all the way to 35% resolution scale, apply settings, and you can see what I'm talking about. The pixelated look is now off the charts. I can barely see anything in the distance, wouldn't have a chance of hitting anything. It looks like a mess, but my FPS is smooth, buttery smooth. So let's change that back to 100% resolution. Apply settings, and you can see the difference. And this is the game at epic settings. Looks pretty snazzy, but my FPS isn't as clear and as smooth as I would like in game, so I won't be running this usually. Go back to video. I usually have VSync off, vertical sync off, brightness at 100%. You can turn that up a bit more if you want to be a bit sweaty and trying to spot people a bit better, but for me 100% is good enough. My texture quality I usually run at high. My shadow quality I run at high. I use Community TA. I'll show you guys why that is. If I switch to Clarity TA and apply settings, the game looks a lot sharper here, but it's not as realistic or as immersive as I like. I find the best anti-aliasing method for me is community. So I'll show standard here, and this too is a bit better, but it's a little bit on the blurry side for me. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's kind of not as crisp as I like. So if I switch to community TA, we've also got FXAA. That's again not really to my liking. Yeah, let's go. Community TA is my favorite, so I've got clarity, standard, let's go disabled. Now, yeah, that's all jaggedy, and I don't really enjoy that. So my personal preference and what I like is community TA. I apply those settings, you can see that's what I kind of run usually. Now the other settings when it comes to video that I do are my anti-aliasing method on set to epic in terms of the quality. The FX quality I have high, usually I run on a high. View distance on epic, foliage quality on high, and process quality on high. SSO I have off, and motion blur off usually. So if I apply those settings now, this is how my game usually looks. This is what you see on my videos. This is what I find visually appealing and good in terms of performance that my computer can run. Again, guys, I encourage you to mess around with these settings yourselves. Find what you're comfortable with, what looks good, and what performs well for your computer. Those are my video settings. I hope that's helpful.